All right, joining us now for more on today's historic summit, I put that historic in quotes, we do have the distinguished former Secretary of State and Fox News contributor, Mike Pompeo. Mike, I just let you've heard the reporting and read and so forth. What's your off-the-top take on this story?
Well, Larry, thanks for having me on. This was over before it began in some sense. John talked about the things that we'd given the Russians in the lead up to this. It is confounding to think that you would give those things up in exchange for nothing, permit the Nord Stream pipeline to be built out and give the Nuclear Start Treaty 2 with no concessions, and then you'd show up in Geneva. It looks like this was talking about talk. I thought Vladimir Putin's comments were very interesting. He is a trained propagandist. He begins to use the words of American left against ourselves, talking about racial divisions and talked about Guantanamo Bay and BLM. Those are things that the audience may not have been here in America. It was around the world. He's trying to sow discord around the world and act as if America is in decline. I wish President Biden would have pushed back against that more firmly in his response to President Putin. And also the fact that the two of them weren't up there together, I think it gave Putin a real runway, gave him real space to say fantastical things such as the comments that you showed about cyber, that it's Canada and America that are causing problems around the world. It allowed him to get away with those things and put them forward unrebutted for audiences that may not even see President Biden's remarks, but will see President Putin's.
Secretary, did Biden push back at all or snap back at this Russian phony cyber hacking is really coming out of the U.S., Canada, and Latin America? That's a lot of garbage. We know that. It's all coming out of Russia from, ex-Secret Service, GRU, military intelligence type people. The whole world knows that. So did Biden blast back at all?
A little bit, but not in a way that was sufficiently direct. You have to call out these Russian lies for exactly what they are. Larry, you know the history, right? Reagan did exactly that. We win, you lose. The KGB is no different today. It's got a new name as the FSB, but Vladimir Putin understands that this message, the message he put out, the message denying cyber attacks, saying that it came from someone else, that's deny and deflect, and then attack. Those are the three models that Putin knows so well. That's what he did today, and it's the West's responsibility. Today, President Biden's responsibility to just call that out for what it is. A lie, silliness. He didn't do that. He took a much softer, a much weaker approach. And I promise you, that weak approach, the Ayatollah in Iran is watching, Xi Jinping in China is watching, Chairman Kim in North Korea is watching. When they see American weakness, a president who blanches at even the ability to put pressure on Vladimir Putin in a private meeting, right? Putin said himself he didn't feel any pressure. When an American president doesn't make demands that are broad and deep to protect and secure America's interests, the whole world watches.
What's happening? I mean, it just seems like Biden does not want any penalties or sanctions on these Russian misgivings, or misdoings. And also, was there any talk about, Russia still has the Crimea. That's bad. Russia still has the whip hand, at least for the eastern part of the Ukraine, if not the whole place. Russia threatening in Georgia, Belarus, and so forth and so on, and the pipeline. We gave up the pipeline, as you say. We gave up our negotiating leverage before we even got here. Is there any punitive, penalty-oriented approaches, any threats that Biden would make, like stand up for America, or even Black Lives Matter? So Putin is talking about Black Lives Matter on January 6th. Did President Biden, punch back on that and say, well, wait a minute, we're going to sanction everyone, this guy Navalny, who was in the hospital, in jail, I don't know where he is now. Do we fight back? Does anything happen here besides making nice and walking away?
But the whole trip, including the trip in Europe, looked like all carrot, no stick from America. Very different than the Trump administration, where we showed up, we were reasonable, we were thoughtful, but it was very clear that we were going to secure America's interests, right? Now appears we're going to restart diplomatic relations after the Colonial Pipeline attack just weeks ago. We're going to sit down with them and have conversations about how we can cooperate on cyber when the Russians won't even acknowledge that they've got this terrible set of cyber attacks that are taking place on their soil. We're now going to re-enter negotiations on strategic competition, strategic weapons systems, when there's no leverage, no threat from the United States that if they don't do that, then something that will be cost imposing on this will be presented to them. it looks like we're handing out all kinds of goodies. We aren't prepared to impose any cost. And Vladimir Putin gets that. He'll extract everything he can from us, and he'll give us nothing back in return.
You know, I was very taken with your climate change first from your column on Fox News. I think I'm saying it right, climate change first. Everything from Biden is climate change first. You're absolutely right. It's not America first. It's climate change first. So in the G7, Mike, if we go back to that for a moment, it seems to me Biden and Team Biden lets the G7 dominate. They let the G7 run climate policies to the benefit of Russia and China. They let the G7 run tax policies, in this case, hiking taxes on American companies. It's sort of like we're going back to multilateralism. You know, I'm for global trade when it's fair and reciprocal, but I'm not for these multilateral institutions running American policies. President Trump railed against that. I don't think you're too keen on that either, but it looks like Biden is keen on that.
There was lots of talk about how warmly President Biden was greeted by the French and the Germans. It shouldn't be surprising. He's adopted their agenda, and he's moving America more that direction. Bigger government, fewer demands that people actually get up and go to work, more statist policies driven from the center, higher taxes, sacrificing jobs for workers on the altar of a Green New Deal. It is no surprise that he was welcomed warmly in the salons of Europe. And it's no surprise, too, that Vladimir Putin feels like he got a good exchange in the first 150 days of the Biden administration. He got the American energy industry shut down. He got his pipeline green-lighted. And he now had a summit where the president allowed him to talk for 55 minutes unobstructed to the world about Russian propaganda. This is not a sign of American strength. When President Biden talks about taking America back, it is very clear. It is back to the 8 years of Barack Obama. That's not good for the United States.
And last one, Secretary, it just seems to me, again, climate change first, G7 dictating policies, particularly France and Germany. You're absolutely right. I think China was a winner in all these exchanges, G7, NATO, Putin summit. I think China wins, too. China's not going to abide by climate policies. China's not going to abide by G7 tax hikes.
No, China's the big winner, and I'll mention this, too. You didn't ask about it. You mentioned the Fed policy earlier. When American inflation grows, China's a big winner, too. This will be devastating to ordinary American workers all across the country. Yeah, I didn't hear Putin mention China not even once. Perhaps it came up in their conversation, but we're not going to negotiate with the Russians on strategic weapons without the Chinese at the table. That makes no sense. It doesn't provide any added stability or security for the American people. There's no doubt China's a big winner when you rejoin the Paris Climate Accords and when you take your economy in a place that will grow inflation, grow spending, and cripple the economy in the out years.
By the way, that's a good point. You know, China, whether it's rare earth minerals and so forth, a lot of their commodities will benefit from inflation surge. That's a great point, Mike. I appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for the rundown. It doesn't sound all that
Thanks,
great.
Larry. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.